the most important concepts in cellular biology is the lipid bilayer that forms the wall around a cell. The cell membrane's purpose is to keep cytoplasm and organelles inside the cell and to keep just about everything else outside the cell. The lipid bilayer is a membrane that could be thought of as a wall, and in fact it would be a sort of a double layered wall. So what you have are you essentially have fatty acids that look like a small round sphere with tails coming out the back of them. And the cell membrane has these two things sitting essentially back to back. Now, the lipid bilayer, the lipid tissue that forms the wall, is what we would call semi-permeable, meaning some things can go past that wall, other things cannot go past that wall. The cell makes a decision about what gets to come past the wall and what doesn't get to come past the wall using receptors. So receptors could be thought of as antennas that stick up off the surface of the lipid bilayer, and they're waiting for something to come by that has a key and is recognized. And when the receptor recognizes the substance passing by, it says, oh, good, okay, we need you, come on into the cell. So probably the easiest example of that is seen in the disease like diabetes. Insulin has a purpose to allow glucose into the cell for fuel. Glucose is ultimately the only thing that cells can burn to produce fuel, or at least efficiently produce fuel. And so insulin is one of the things that sort of unlocks the gate and allows the cell to say, okay, we're going to let this glucose in. When insulin isn't present, there's no permeation. So the cell is essentially starving on the inside because it can't get glucose, but there's an overabundance of glucose on the outside of the cell membrane because insulin isn't available to help it pass inside of the cell. So in other words, any substance has to be permeable to a lipid in order to get inside of a cell. And the cell's receptors that stick up off of the surface on the outside of the wall are looking for particular substances that will sort of unlock the door and allow a substance to pass in through that lipid bilayer that would normally keep just about everything else out of the cell.